Well, that's too obvious. You don't want to throw away your queen with the jack. You know, declare will see the queen and know that the jack is good. So your best bet is probably pitch a club, right? Because what declare doesn't know is that you have queen, jack, and 10. By the way, if West had queen third or jack third of clubs, would the squeeze work? No, because then East could safely discard all of their clubs and hope that their partner could guard the club suit. But remember, we said the key to the hand was we needed East to have everything in the minors. All right? And by the way, even if East didn't have queen, jack, and 10, if West had one of those cards, as long as one of those cards was doubleton, it actually would still work, wouldn't it? Now here we know that that's not the case because we can see 10 of the clubs and we know that West actually started with 3. So if those 3 were 3 to the queen, even 3 to the 10, right, would get the job done. If West had 3 clubs to the 10, East might think that they're handing away the contract by unguarding queen and jack, and they would drop on ace king, but guess what? That 9 wouldn't be a winner if West started with 3 to the 10, right? But here, East has everything, which we said needed to be the case. So let's say they pitch a club. All right. Well, at that stage, declares like, all right, I didn't see the queen of diamonds. If I didn't see the queen of diamonds, the jack of diamonds is not good. So my 9th winner has to come from the club suit if this is working. So you play a club to the ace, you see the jack, you play a club to the king, you see the queen, and the 9 of clubs in your hand is the 9th trick. This one's a little more complicated, right? Because you've got threats in both hands. And remember, you needed entries, right? You needed the transportation to be able to get either to the dummy or back to your hand to collect the 9th winner. So all those conditions had to be there. And it looks like it's a long shot, right? It certainly is a lot easier and a lot more comfortable when the finesse on the queen of spades works or the queen of diamonds drops doubleton or something like that. But the thing is that's the nice thing too about a squeeze. So we can try all these other things that we would normally do, the easier things, a finesse, a card dropping. We try that stuff first. Then if it doesn't work, maybe we can fall back on the squeeze. So it turns out that this contract is actually cold. Defense can't beat it. Defense can't beat it in any way, right? And you might ask yourself, okay, well, what if East goes rogue, doesn't return a heart at trick 2? What if they make their natural switch to a club? Okay, they could do that, but guess what? If they switch to clubs and they don't return their partner's heart suit, remember at that stage, your ace of hearts is still in dummy. And so the defense hasn't set up all their heart winners yet. Well, if the defense doesn't set up and take their heart winners, you could attack the diamond suit and set up dummy's 4th diamond, couldn't you? Right? So they can't do everything. It's all about timing. They can't do everything. So they got their hearts, but in the process of taking their hearts, and that's, yes, ultimately your 6 of spades was the squeeze card. But remember, East had to start finding discards as their partner gleefully cashed heart winners, right? That's always a great feeling, getting squeezed by your own partner. It happens sometimes when you're a defender. Your partner's so excited, snap, 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 all these winners. Meanwhile, they're giving you a discard problem, right? Just what you always wanted. So. Well, I have many more squeeze examples that we don't have time for today. So since we're coming down to close to the end here, last couple of minutes, does anybody have any questions about anything that we talked about today, in plays or squeezes, terminology, anything like that?
What was that thing about the duke?
Adjusting the duke.
Adjusting the duke.
Adjusting
Yes.
the duke. Okay.
Yes. Scottish slang for
Rectifying.
rectifying the count.
Which,
So, this is a lot, this is a lot to remember, and it's one of those things that I think you have to kind of deal with it in stages. And so if you find yourself in a contract and it looks like you're not getting a friendly lie of the cards, and you try a finesse or two and it doesn't work, and you're getting into desperation, what you want to start thinking about is like, well, maybe there's a squeeze. I actually find a lot of times that I'm not executing a squeeze necessarily to make a contract, but that I'm in a contract that is in fact cold, and I'm looking for over tricks. And I'm like, all right, well, I'm in 3-0. I can see 10 tricks. I'm always making 4. If the same opponent held the King of Hearts and the King of Diamonds both, I might be able to make 5. So you can actually look for this in situations where there isn't a whole lot on the line, and kind of get some practice. And like I said, what usually happens at first is that you recognize that a squeeze may exist. A couple of important cards might be in the same hand that you need them to be in. Then you get into the process of untangling your transportation, because that's the trickiest part, making sure that you have an entry to the hand or hands where those menaces are, because that's always a bummer. When you get a squeeze set up and then it's actually working, you have the position you need and you create this winner, but then you can't get to it because you messed up your entries or something like that. So it is a little tricky, to actually execute it. That it definitely takes some practice. And I would say also, just as a general rule, and on a lot of hands, if you come down to a situation where you have a bunch of winners and one loser, and you have a lot of trumps or a no trump, a long suit, cash a bunch of winners in your long suit. Sometimes good things happen. Sometimes you don't have a true squeeze, but somebody thinks they're squeezed. We call that a pseudo squeeze. and they make the wrong discard. So a lot of good things can happen. There's something to be said for cashing a bunch of winners. Now, remember, sometimes, yes, the opponents have to find discards, but if you're running winners from your hand, you've got to find discards from dummy. Or if you're running winners from dummy, you've got to find discards from your hand. If you're squeezing yourself as well in the process, you may not be helping your cause. So.
Kurt, I have a question. I thought I knew which count you were rectifying, but it turns out I don't. Are you rectifying your count of winners? What is it that you're which count?
Rectifying the count simply means that you are coming down to exactly one loser.
So it is winners and
Yes.
and losers.
Yeah.
It's not count
however many tricks are remaining.
of trump
If
or
there's six, yes. If there's 6 tricks remaining and 5 of your cards are winners, or you can see 5 winners between the 2 hands and 1 loser, you have rectified the count.
Thank you.
Or maybe the opponent's rectified it for you. However many tricks, whatever the position is. 3-card inning, 2 winners, 1 loser. When you have reached the point. And so if you're looking ahead and you think, oh, I might want to try a squeeze on this hand, and you see 2 losers, then maybe you need to give up a trick earlier in the hand to create the situation where you now have just 1 loser, and the opponents have won that trick. So sometimes you need a squeeze to make a slam, and you have to rectify the count at trick 1. Like they make their opening lead, and maybe they lead something like, maybe it's a situation where they lead queen from queen jack 10, and you have ace king small, and so your inclination is immediately win the ace, right? But if you study the whole hand and you realize, all right, well, I only see 11 tricks. I don't see 12 tricks. If you see 12 tricks, of course you grab your ace and you take your 12 tricks, right? Probably, and make your slam. But what if you only see 11 tricks and you're like, I may need a squeeze for the 12th trick. I'm in 6-0. I only count 11 winners. I need to find a 12th winner somewhere. Well, sometimes you duck that opening lead. Give them their winner right now, because you have to get the count rectified for the squeeze to work. Sounds crazy, but same situation. If you know you have it, on any, particularly for no trump. If you have tricks to lose that you can't avoid, lose them early. Because if you can, even just your 3 no trumps like this. I mean, what happens if you take a hand like this and you cash all your winners right off the top, you know, hoping that something good happens, and you start banging down aces and kings. Well, what happens? You run out of steam real early and you go down 2 for your efforts, right?
Yeah.
You take the 7 winners that we counted
Yeah.
at the beginning and you're like, I'm done. You know, that's so.
I used to play
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah.
I used to.
Yeah, and that is really tough. I actually would say that's probably, in my estimation, one of the reasons that people have why people are generally a lot less comfortable with no Trump than with suits. Because in suit contracts, you don't do a lot of ducking. You don't. Hopefully, you don't. You don't concede a lot of tricks. You take your winners, you know, and then you take finesses and you rough things and all that, and you know, you don't, you know, there's usually not a lot of incentive to lose tricks early, unless you can't avoid it when you're playing a suit contract, right? And the opponents are cashing their winners before you can get in. No Trump, you tend to have a little more control over your timing, you know, not just taking your, you know, which winners you're taking, but you know, when you take them. So. All right, the plan for next time is something a little different, and it's going to be opportunities for deception by declaring. Because if you can't do it legitimately through spectacular play and squeezes and end plays, you know, by hook or by crook, right? Sometimes you can pull a swindle.